Welcome back to the channel. We are the Movie Marathon Men. I'm Owen Garner.
And I'm Luke Carr.
And we watch films that make us go, Today we're doing a new video. So it's a series of videos that we're going to be doing. It's called Worth the Wait. And today we're looking at a legacy sequel and we'll be asking that very question. So today's video is on Blade Runner. So, Luke, Blade Runner. What are your initial thoughts first? Let's start
This is Blade Runner 1982 and not Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, which is very confusing. And then they do, in the original film, set it in the future.
which is the past.
It's now the past for us.
Yes.
It's 2019.
Yes. No, it's not. It's 2024.
Is it? No! Oh my god! I had that thought, like, watching it, when it's like, suggesting a future and it's 2019.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's like actually not even that close now. That's
it's
5 years ago.
But equally, what's worrying is that the future they depict is not that far away either.
No. No.
But no, Blade Runner 1982
Yeah.
is clearly a classic. It's clearly incredible. And it sets the tone for sci-fi, really. Sort of this future, sort of, what is it, neon noir, sort of dirty, grimy,
it's
rainy.
neo-noir. Neon noir is very good.
You see it through all sorts of films, even films that aren't particularly like straight sci-fi. So this is such an influential film.
I mean, it is such an incredible piece of cinema, just from, as you've said, the look, the mood, the music, the costuming, the design of everything, just all of it, like literally every frame. But I'd watched it ages ago, and watching it this time, you know when you watch something, you're like, wow, I definitely didn't get this the first time. And not to say that that's like a, you need to watch this, being able to understand it. But just watching it now, I'm like, this is incredible. Like, I got so much more from it. It's such a beautiful piece of cinema.
Yeah.
So yeah, the world is incredible, and we don't want it to be sullied.
We do not.
When looking.
Especially because it's already quite a sullied world.
Yeah. Yes. Well, we wouldn't want it to suddenly look very clean.
We want it to be unsullied.
Yeah. Yeah, we wouldn't want them to have cleaned up their act. No. I want it to be even grimier, please.
Well, I think the only thing you really have to pay off in Blade Runner is the tone. It's the sort of the setting, it's the feel of it. The thing that is so, well, not unique to Blade Runner, but maybe unique at the time, was that it felt like a dream. The whole film didn't really rely on a plot, didn't really rely on character. It just sort of had an atmosphere, a sort of vibe that sort of sucks you in. So if this film, Blade Runner 2049, were to cut all of that out, focus on plot, focus on sort of clean bits and pieces, like if it's not dreamlike, if it's not escapism in a bad way, then it's a different you didn't need to make Blade Runner. There are enough sort of future cyber neon signs sort of things going on. You need this to have the one thing Blade Runner have, which is the sort of dreamlike atmosphere of it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So let's ask our first question. Did anyone ask for it?
No one needed a Blade Runner 2.
Yeah.
They needed 3 other characters after that, the 0, the 4, and the 9. But they didn't need Adventures of Deckard after the first film. The film ended. The story finished. But it's sort of a yes, because you can tell how much people wanted a film like this by how much people made films like this. Yeah. The fact it's been sort of homage, it's been done again.
Yeah. Well, but I've even seen, I think, an episode of Bob's Burgers that pastiches Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Like, it is so, like, wide-reaching. And you start to see, when you're watching films like this for analysis, you start to see their fingerprints on other works. And this is one of those films that really has a long reach in the world of cinema. It is incredible.
Yeah, fingerprints or snake scales.
Or snake scales. I've put that the studio definitely did ask for it.
No.
They love but any studio loves an old property that they get to resurrect.
Especially one that flops at the box office.
Yeah, no, they didn't ask for it to do that. But
it'd be silly if they did.
Yeah, that would be a strange request. No, but studios love doing this. That's our channel is built on Hollywood's lack of originality.
Yes, and our own.
And our own. We'll be remaking these videos in about 2 years.
Or just when one of these cameras dies.
Yeah. But the studio would have wanted it. That it's an iconic property, and they're thinking this is a home run.
Yeah.
And that is where you get into the territory of it being, okay, it maybe isn't going to be great because it's maybe a studio just greenlighting it's Blade Runner, cool, people know that.
Yeah.
Did the fans ask for it? Maybe not.
No.
Did fans of Denis Villeneuve ask for it? Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
It was, yeah, give this guy a budget. He's been great. Because so up to this point, had he done Arrival?
He'd done Arrival. I think the next film he does is Dune.
Yes.
Or did.
Yeah, so he went from films like Prisoners and Sicario then to Arrival. So he's starting to become, okay, I'm this sort of highbrow sci-fi, grand scale. So then he does this. And then luckily, because the film didn't do that well, he did get to go on and do Dune and Dune Part 2. And now Dune Part 3 has just been confirmed, which is very exciting. So I can't wait to see that in 3 years' time. For you watching this video, maybe tomorrow. Or
maybe the great blackout happens.
Yeah. Maybe it does.
And all you have is the memory of this video to tide you back.
So Denny fans definitely asked for it.
Yes.
But fans of the original, maybe they felt it was sacred and they didn't want
Well,
it touched.
that's the thing because I looked at reviews from just Blade Runner fans. There's a Blade Runner subreddit, which I imagine has been pretty dead for 40 years until this film came out. But they were not 100% thrilled with it, which I find insane because it's maybe spoiling the rest of it, but I don't know how you can do a legacy sequel that much better. And the fact that they're not even then perfectly happy with it makes me feel like the fans of Blade Runner, it's been too long. They were never going to be happy with anything unless they just did it again and just told them it was a new film.
Well, but also have they just fallen out of touch a little bit? Like they're like, not my Blade Runner, because they watched the film in the 80s when they were 20. It's now, when was this? 2017.
So is it 45 years later?
It's 45 years
65
later.
years old.
So they're
probably couldn't even see it.
They're as old as Harrison Ford, and watching it and being like, let's move on to our next question, shall we? And that is, does it stand on its own legs?
What do you think?
I think absolutely. I think this is so when we look at these legacy sequels, I think one of the things that they can do, if they go halfway down this line, I just don't think it will work whatsoever. So either they rely very heavily on the original and it's constant callbacks and references and riffing off that and building off that, or they go sort of very much into their own direction. They use archive footage very sparingly, characters very sparingly, and they tell their own story. And I think that this one does that absolutely. So you could just watch this. The world, the story, the characters are all clear.
Yeah.
And so I do think it works.
That's what I wrote down as well. You could just watch this one. I'm sure a lot of people did just watch this one. Equally, there's about 7 different endings to Blade Runner, the original. So depending on which one of those you watched, it didn't matter, right? This is just a different story. But equally, I think they gave Denis enough room to make his own style. Like, it is obviously similar to Blade Runner. It'd be silly if it wasn't. But it is not someone remaking Ridley Scott's Blade Runner.
No.
Because if that happened, it doesn't stand on its own as much for me, because you are just copying someone else and you can feel someone just copying the same shots. Whereas this one had Denis Villeneuve's style.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot more open, for instance. The original is very cramped and it's crowded, and even on the sets it feels like it's sort of claustrophobic. This one was barren. I suppose it deals a lot more with loneliness than the first one did. I mean, they both do, but this one,
but in different ways.
Yeah. So the style was its own style. So it's not like it's someone making a film that they wouldn't have otherwise made if they weren't just trying to do Blade Runner again.
Yeah, and I think what I was just about to say in response to that is sort of our next question. So let's just move straight on to that. And that is, does it advance and honour the original story? Does it drive forward character, the universe, and as we say, the story? And I think it absolutely does, because as you're just saying about it being less cramped and stuff, that's the universe is expanded. So in the first film, we're just in the city. And we see different parts of the city, and that's really interesting. You know, you see slightly more open parts of the city. You see like a really busy high street, or you see a sort of derelict old hotel. Whereas in this, we go out into the landscape a bit more. You know, we go to a farm at the start, and then we go off into a sort of wasteland at a different point, and these different things. So I think that is really, really interesting, and you get to see new things. And as a fan of, you like this thing, do you want more? For me, the answer is always yes. For some people, it is no. And I do understand that, of they want, especially with a film like this, to retain that mystery. They don't want more.
Yeah.
It's like, no. The more you tell me, the worse it gets.
Yes.
So, because the first film is, as you say, it's this sort of dreamscape. You're sort of wandering through it. And this one, it still has that, but you can see more of the world.
Yes. No, exactly. It clearly honours the original insofar as, I suppose, Deckard is not this, like... Actually, I was going to say... Okay, so he's not revered in universe in the same way as you have, like, Pan's a character from the first film and it's, like, slow music. And you do a little bit, I mean, a tiny bit, but not no different than they did in introducing other characters in the film. I think if you didn't know who Harrison Ford was and you didn't know what Blade Runner was, you would just think, oh, this is an important character, not this is God.
I really agree with that, in that you would feel the same about him as you would with the Dave Bautista character.
Yeah.
Like, they're introduced in a similar kind of way of like, yep, here's this character, here are their scenes.
Yeah, they do obviously in the course of the plot make him more important to the universe, not necessarily to like the film versus other characters, which I'm not always on board with. I don't necessarily like taking the guy from the first film who was just kind of a nobody and making him the center point of the conflict in the next one. I don't mind if they come back to help with the conflict, of course, but if they weren't the savior of the world in the first one, they don't need to be the savior of the world in the second one, because they're just some guy at the end of the day, if that's the point.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it too much. It's a minor gripe. But the reason it's a minor gripe is because the character is the same sort of character. They don't make him Harrison Ford being charismatic to the point where he's just not the old character. He doesn't just say the lines from Blade Runner and then do nothing else. He feels like an old Deckard. Rather than
and it makes sense. It also, just the universe where it is makes sense. So things that are set up in how the society works in the first film, you see in this. So both films open with a text scroll. I love a text scroll. I think it's a great way to expo dump, but also it feels futuristic to me because it's so reliant on in sci-fi. But it's always there sort of going, okay, well, we're going to put you into a lived-in universe. So we're going to tell you all the stuff that people know just as writ. And just like, here's the past 50 years in history. So now look at these streets, and that's why they're so dirty. And now you understand that. And this one again does a text crawl, and you have that like, okay, and here's how the universe has changed, and then you see that. And so you don't need to, in every scene, somebody, walks in from a shop and they go like, oh, a bit of a dusty jacket, and they go, yes, well, because of the old wars, and they're just like dusting off the exposition. No, they get it in at the beginning, and then everything that you see is like, I understand that, and you just learn more. So I think it really, really works for me.
I think it updates bits that need to be updated. I think modern audiences, us, need more plot, need more sort of consistent through line in a film than the original has, because there's only like 3 plot points in the original. There's one scene in the original that has not aged very well, which they do a similar sort of thing in this one, but it's entirely different in the way they deliver it. So in the first one, it has not aged well because it is sort of a bit reprehensible to watch, but it's working as like a litmus test to the viewer. It's like, do you see someone as a machine or as a person a little bit? It's about testing how you react to this. They do it in this one as well, but in a very different way, using the Ana de Armas character. It's like testing what you see as a living being and what you see as a robot. And in this one you can watch, and I feel like we'll stand the test of time a little bit better. So they've updated bits that need updating, but they keep true to the point of what was in the original. They just do it again because it's in the original.
And they're not just riffing on something because they feel like they should. Like they're sort of holding up the original tenets of the film and saying like, oh, here's what we want to be talking about. So let's ask our next question, which I feel like we've covered a little bit there of who is this question for? Me. For me.
Who's the question for?
Yeah.
Yes, it is for you.
This question is for me, but so is this film. I love this film. I think, that this is what sort of modern Hollywood is sort of tending towards a bit more, is really exciting. I mean, the way that people are going to the cinema is changing. It's gotten more expensive, so people are deciding more selectively what they're going to go see. Do you go see Dune Part 2 or the rom-com that's out at the moment? I have nothing against rom-coms. Absolutely love them. The last film that we watched together was a rom-com, I think. But are you going to watch that at home when it comes onto Amazon Prime, or there are other streaming sites available? Or do you go and watch that at the cinema?
Yeah.
It's, okay, do I watch the 2-hour epic sci-fi film or...
3 hour.
3 hour. And yeah, so for me, this is for me. I absolutely love these kinds of films.
Yeah.
I thought it was incredible.
The film is for both. That's, I suppose, the point of the question being, is it for just a brand new audience, or is it for the old audience? Is it for both? Is it for neither?
Yeah.
Is it for just one guy?
Yeah.
And the answer is this is for pretty much anyone who liked the original, and pretty much anyone who would like the style of film the original is. I don't think it's going to attract new fans who wouldn't like the original anyway. It's not like it's broadening the audience. It is by just the fact that it's newer and people will see it. But those same people would have liked the 1982 one. So this is for new fans. It's for old fans. It's for people who don't know they're fans yet.
Yeah, I agree. So because we're coming up to our final question, but I feel like I want to discuss this a bit more. So do you think that is one of the reasons that this film didn't do as well?
Well, probably, because if you think about how much Blade Runner originally cost, it probably wasn't a huge amount compared to how much it costs now, just because effects are better, but that means they cost more in a weird way.
Yeah.
This film had to be $150 to $200 million to make, whatever, something like that.
The effects do look incredible.
They look incredible, yeah. But this one, it just couldn't attract a new audience. Like, my mum is not going to go watch this.
No.
Like, someone who's never watched the original Blade Runner, or watched it when they were 12 and just didn't really get it or care.
Yeah.
People who don't care about Blade Runner are not going to check this out. I don't think Ryan Gosling had the same star power he has now. He had some star power, but it wasn't like, if it came out this year, it would be a hit.
I feel like this is one of the things that was very much on his road to stardom.
Yeah.
Like, not that he wasn't...
Because, it's a strange thing. It's because
he'd
done,
like,
La La
Crazy
Land.
Stupid Love, and it was after La La
Yeah,
Land.
but it just still... He didn't have the box office draw, I think, is the thing.
One of the things that I know about this film is that Francis Ford Coppola made the film One from the Heart, which is the film that bankrupted him. It just spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
It just became the scale and budget of the movie.
Yeah.
It bankrupted American Zoetrope, I think it is.
Right.
And so he then sold all of the neon from that film to Ridley Scott for Blade Runner. So if you watch One from the Heart, the film looks very different. It's still very neon, but it's very much... It's being Vegas, whereas this film is not Vegas at all. Yeah. It's not Vegas in the rain. It's more like sort of space Tokyo, but or Gotham. For me, this is Blade Runner, my favorite Batman movie. It's a rainy, grimy city with a detective. Are you ready to go on to our final question?
I'm tense.
You're tense, Luke. Blade Runner 2049, was it worth the wait?
Yes.
I absolutely agree. I think that this is the best Harrison Ford return to an old character that we've seen. So he's done it 3 times now. I think
he's done it twice with Indiana Jones.
So he's done it twice with Indiana Jones, and then obviously he's returned to Star Wars as well. Yeah. Can't wait till next year when he comes back as Jack Ryan. But I think for me that this is one of his best performances just anyway. I think that the film is absolutely beautiful. It's exciting. It's moving, and it's just so cool. I love it. So for me, it was absolutely.
It's an easy
worth
watch.
The wait.
Yeah, it's an easy. It is.
Yeah,
it's a great film. You'd watch Blade Runner first. If you don't like Blade Runner, you're not going to love this film. If you liked Blade Runner even a little bit, you'll like this film at least a little bit.
Yeah.
It's the perfect legacy sequel 45 years later or whatever.
I think so. Well, there you have it. That was the first in our series of videos called Worth the Wait. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, as that always helps us, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.